in leadership. And with me here in studio is Perez Tobiko, who is the Member of Parliament for Kajiado East, as well as Hezen Le Maletian, who's an aspiring woman representative Samburu County. Thank you so much for joining us bright and early to talk about this. We were talking about some of the ways that women have actually impacted in developing local communities, and one of the more important things that you mentioned is that when it comes to women, we don't need even to look for them. You find them already together, mobilized in a church group, a chama, something, and you just need to add your input. Education is a very big issue, and during the break we were having that conversation with Hezena, who's saying that when it comes to education, it's directly linked to how empowered women are. Talk to us about your area and how this has manifested and what you would love to see in the near future.
I think being a county that is so far from the town, from the developed towns, we are yet to see more women educated, more women empowered. I think we have one of the highest illiteracy levels in Kenya, and I think we can do more. Having 2 women elected does not exactly reflect what is on the ground. Ground vitu ni different. So we still need to do more education, even adult education, to empower our women. And one thing I love, what I love about the Samburu women is that they are so keen on learning. They are so welcoming when you train them on anything. They are ready to grasp whatever you teach them, and they are willing, they have the urge to learn, right?
And Honorable Tobiko, speak to us about, even at a family level, having an educated mother in that family. What does it do even for the children and how they see society?
All right, all right. You know, at the family level, and I'm a mother of 3 daughters and 1 little boy, I can tell you it's good, it's enjoyable, it's fulfilling, you know. We sit with my daughters, we become like friends, we go shopping together, we talk a lot of issues together, issues concerning their lives and my life, you know, and society in general. They have actually helped me even to shape my thinking and my debate even at the assembly, because sometimes they tell me, Mommy, some of the things you people do are not acceptable, you know. Like there was this day in Parliament that they were talking about, you know, taxation on online businesses, taxation on the social media accounts and all that.
Facebook shops.
And, you know, I said, if I do contribute, well, you know, if I join the government sort of line on this one, my daughter will never forgive me, you know.
Many young people probably wouldn't.
Because we talk a lot, and they tell me, the other day, there was the unfortunate incident at Kitengela, where, you know, there were some people who were murdered, you know, and it was some people, whatever. Yes. And my daughter called me and said, Mommy, what is this that's happening in your constituency? You know, why should this happen? These are Kenyans, you know? And you see, they help you look at things holistically, not from, you know, a tribal perspective. And really, you know, I got the sense, and I had to come out to condemn the killings, and to say, look, our own children are having rastas, they have tattoos,
and they're not criminals.
They're not criminals. They don't even speak mother tongue, you know. So when you come tell them about being Maasai, they don't understand. They're like, Mommy, really? You know. And so it's very fulfilling to be able to engage with them at almost the same level.
Absolutely.
You know?
And perhaps I do believe from the way they are speaking, you're breeding leaders of the future and bringing up leaders of the future, because they are now in tune with some of the issues that are happening. Some young people might not even care what's happening.
In fact, we have something we say with my daughters. lest your mother never told you.
Yes,
you know?
yes, okay. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Speak to us about empowerment. What would you like to see at the education level? Are schools doing enough to ensure they're pushing women out to even become youth leaders and what have you?
I think we need more empowerment programs in school. Like, I know I have done a lot in Samburu, Kajiado and Narok. When we were in the university, we started the Kenya Mass Students Association, and we would get sponsorship to move around and empower these children in school. What I know for sure, having been there and having grown up in the village, is that we do not see enough people who have been where we want to go. Like, the first time I saw someone who's ever gone to the university was when I was in almost Form 3. Wow. You know, and if that was so for me, what of those who schooled in the very remote interior parts of Samburu or Narok? And I think we need more empowerment program. We need more mentoring from both educated people, empowerment organizations, women in leadership, students in the universities. We need more of these empowerment programs in schools. And we also need to do adult education, which is very important. I think women empowerment goes hand in hand with education, because you can be schooled but not educated.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of that, I'd like to talk about the very important issue of land ownership. Yeah, we have had a lot of talk about inheritance rights, and you know, women slave away on these pieces of lands, farming and rearing poultry and what have you. But it would be unfair if they do not have equal rights to inherit or actually own, or even if society is frowning upon them desiring to even acquire land. Speak to us about where we are as a nation in terms of women's rights to land ownership.
In terms of legislation, I mean, the laws of the land, there is a lot now protecting, you know, both genders. Yes. Like in a marriage situation, that the husband and wife are co-owners of land, and that the husband or whichever partner cannot dispose of family land without the consent of the other. Right. And so in terms of the laws, there is fair protection now, okay? But how many people are invoking, you know, these laws to protect the women? It's another story altogether. How many women are aware of their rights? It's another issue altogether. And so I think there should be a lot of education on the women, on their about their rights and how they can pursue them, because a lot of them are suffering out there. A lot of them are suffering out there. But you know, legislation has improved. Yes, legislation has improved now, but kwa ground vision different, as she said. Could you speak to us about land ownership? What have you seen, and what would you like to see?
Like I said, Samburu's case is very peculiar from the rest of the Ma. And for us, land ownership by women is still a headache. It's not something we can say is being fully embraced. Our society is very patriarchal, but I thank God there's been progress. Recently, our president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, awarded title deeds at KICC to women, which was a huge milestone, because for once, men were there to clap for the women and witness women owning land. So I think it's a collective responsibility. We need to see the society participating in this, because the woman is the nurturer. She's the one who takes care of the children once the man is gone. If she doesn't have access to these properties, these children will suffer eventually.
Yes. Now, we are also joined by Winnie Majani, who's a senior banker and aspiring woman rep like yourself for Vihiga County. Winnie, we have been speaking about women women in leadership, the importance of representation. And now we're on the matter of land ownership. What is your take on first of all, the law is clear that there needs to be fairness when it comes to women owning land. But do you think women are empowered enough to know and, of course, even aspire to being landowners at all levels, at the remote, far-flung areas, or even in the city?
Thank you so much for having me. I think sometimes the things that are on paper, that is the Constitution, might look so cute, might look so progressive, but now when it comes to actualization on the ground, it's a whole different thing. In Kenya currently, yes, the Constitution allows women to have a right to own land and all that, but now there is this culture dynamics. But now there is this issue of women in the villages not knowing their rights. Because remember, the urban few, the literacy levels are there amongst very few. So I think the biggest challenge is cultural biases and lack of awareness. Yes, you're entitled to this land, but how will you get it? So as I said, the Constitution is there. Everything is there on cute paragraphs, but now the implementation is the problem.
Implementation is wanting, yes.
I also think once we empower women economically, they can be able to access these lands and buy for themselves and obviously have the right.
Yeah, how then?
Pardon?
How would you empower women in your community economically?
Right, the things I was talking about earlier on, like expanding their bid market, introducing them into agriculture as an alternative means of livelihood, you know, coming up with abattoirs where I know obviously in our societies it is the women who will be dealing with leather.
Yes, for sure.
Things like that.
Absolutely. Now, Ms. Majani, could you speak to us also on the issue of education? Because we empowered women and men through ensuring that they are educated. So when you're having a society with more educated women, then it filters into leadership and representation. Speak to us about how that would change your society and perhaps how you are planning, if you actually get this position, to empower local women from Vihiga County.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that literacy levels among women is now on an average scale. We are slowly getting there, but now the only problem is we go back to culture. I always say this, I actually sometimes see myself as being repetitive. It is here with us. Where I come from, that is Vihiga County, I can factually say girls are going into classes, women are, getting the basic education, but now the problem becomes school fees. You find a woman, like a lady, at 17 or 18 at Form 4, if she is incapacitated not to go to tertiary or get a college degree, the parents would rather maybe, just release her to go and do any jobs as opposed to the boy child. Like when we sit down and start looking as ladies, as girls, as people with rights to have, a better livelihood, with people with rights to have, economic gains, that is the only way we shall have our girls go up to a higher level. And for me as a leader, I often say advocacy is key, awareness, using all sorts of platforms, because you realize this is rural, where probably television is owned by not vast majority, but only a few. So it is using the local authorities. You look at the likes of sub-chiefs, you look at chiefs, you look at county level, we have the woman reposition. And the woman reposition is basically, its core obligation is addressing the needs of the underserved. The needs of the underserved in this case is girls involved. So as a woman rep is to actually see, to make it like a mandatory obligation to maybe partner with principals, to partner with people on the ground as far as leadership is concerned, to just have data of how many girls maybe have a college degree or maybe have, have gone up to secondary school or primary school. So I think what really ails us as a society is lack of data. Because when you come back to Nairobi and you're at National Assembly, or maybe when you're in that hotel agitating for women's rights, agitating for girl children rights, are you doing it from a point of information or from a point of just speculation? So I think we have to be specific as much as possible. We have to be deliberate in addressing the girl child issues through data, centralized data. And it is not hard, by the way. As I've said, in rural, where I come from, that is Vihiga, if we can make use of local authorities, these are people who actually thrive in being given different duties, and such data will be amongst them. And then just keep telling, leading mentorship programs among girls. For me, I actually use each and every platform, especially in high schools, and delegate when it comes to primary schools. Talk to these girls about the essence of having academic papers. Talk to these girls about the essence of being academically superior. Because many a time, and I always tell them this, it's unfortunate, but women will always be viewed twice harsher according to the society. So I think the only way to empower our girls is to make them as literal competitive as much as possible. And then afterwards, that will lead to economic gains. That will lead to also social, economic, and even political gains. Because you realize when a girl is learned all the way to the most superior level, she is able to make an informed decision, e.g. voting the right leaders because she understands her right, e.g. having some side hustle from a side of information, if it is financial literacy, e.g. having space on that table to actually advocate for what she constitutionally demands and without fear or favor. So I would want to urge all leaders across the country, and me aspiring to be the woman rep for Vihiga County, actually, I would just like to ascertain and to reiterate the way, if in position, if in that leadership space, I will make use of each and available data through not sophisticated avenues, but engage our local leaders, just so I know how many girls are inferior or how many, adolescent young adults don't have that college degree. And we can come up and partner. It's not a must to look at this GAF kitty, the 35 million. In leadership, you actually exposed to so much. So I would that once you're in leadership, use those avenues, use those partners to champion for each and every girl child education.
Absolutely. And some of the pictures on our screen are actually amusing me because women seem to liven every event. Some of the grannies are dancing and they're in colorful outfits. Just speaks to the contribution of women in everything. We bring in some life. Yeah. Now, I'd like to speak of, there you go, I think that is Esther Pasaris, Rachel Shebesh, Mishi Mboko right there, just livening an event, even from the outfits. Now, let's talk about the criticism that female leadership, some of these positions are handouts. You spoke earlier on and said that women are getting more aggressive and they want to go into competitive politics. What do you say to those people who feel like when we create certain positions, we are then just being easy on women and they should just compete like their male counterparts?
Like you see, when my sister there, Winnie was talking, something was crossing my mind that women, the women representative seat, and I pray that women will forgive me for saying this. The women representative seat can only be occupied by 47 women
in the whole
whole country at any one time. And so if it was like a diversionary tactic, so that we all go, like the way you throw some maize and all the chicken run there. So the women, the diversionary tactic of removing us from the main seats, from the mainstream, more influential elective positions, and so all women now are singing off the women representative seat. Which I always say, should it be the case?
Yes.
Should not be the case. I will not go for it, because then I need to give space to the younger lot.
Yes.
I will not go for it because there's a woman who is not as empowered as myself. And so that is why I feel like those women like who've been now in 2 parliamentary terms on the women representative seat
Yes.
should go for constituency seats, create space for others. Yeah, those of us who've been in constituencies feel enabled enough now to go for governor's position.
Yeah.
And I do not fear taking the risk. You know, let's go to the Senate. Women must not accept to be, you know, treated like, unless you get the freebies, unless you're nominated, unless, I personally, you know, in my growing up, I've been competitive in school from class 1, and I do not see why it's freebies.
Yeah. Yeah.
We must compete. The society is giving us some fair ground now.
Yeah.
When they give us half the ground, let's take double the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. What's your take on that?
I think she's right. The women representative seat is much more of a voice for the women. The real work is in these other seats, and I think
Go ahead.
the real work is in these other seats. And for some reason, as much as the women rep seat is still very competitive and very crucial for the 2/3 gender role, I believe women should throw their hand in all seats. They should not have a limit, because
Not be boxed into.
there can only be so much of what women can achieve. So I think a woman being a nurturer can do so well as a governor, can do so well as a member of parliament, and probably women can be better managers.
Yeah.
My sister, I look at this women representative seat differently.
Yeah, I see.
I look at it differently because when I contested for constituency first time on 2013, 2013, and the women representative seat had now come into existence. A lot of people used it to discourage women going for those other seats. You know, like, mbona anaacha kiti ya wanawake anakujia hii ingine. You get it?
Yes.
So, so it has actually limited women. It has in a way, I think the women representative seat has created very small space where now the entire society, men, particularly men, want all women to fit in that one outfit. You know, and we must not agree to be boxed into that one outfit.
For sure. Ms. Majani, what is your take on that?
You know me, I'm always a realist. In as much as I agree with my panelists on what they're saying in terms of having as occupying the critical spaces, having as occupying the male-oriented spaces. But again, I want to be very practical. Where I come from, that is Luya Western. We don't have any single elected female leader, apart from one MCA, I think the MCA for Busali, who is Honorable Gladys Analo, MCA. When you look back and look at these women who are, scaling the heights, the likes of Honorable Millie Mabona. Millie Mabona started as a nominated MP. And we have to go back to our cultural dynamics. In Luya Western, a woman, it's unfortunate, but it's slowly going to be a thing of the past through some of us grabbing. You have to be politically smart also. You might have the right ambition. All politicians have an ambition, including Winnie Majani. You might want to be the governor just to deconstruct or debunk the notion formed amongst women that we go for freebies.
I really think to disagree with her because Western is one of the earliest communities in Kenya to embrace women leadership.
For sure.
In the earliest representation at the National Assembly, we've had the Luhya community, Western and Nyanza, getting us the women.
Yes,
MPs.
I'm trying to remember a member of parliament from Kitale, or was it was in Gishu County?
Yes,
name,
so why I'm disagreeing with Winnie is because how would you tell us that there's one nominated MCA? Did women offer themselves as candidates for all these other seats and the electorates denied them the opportunity to serve? No. We have nominated women to fill in the 2/3 at the county assemblies. But they take the comfort zones and never go for elective seats.
Yes.
You see, women must get out of that comfort zone. We must not use excuses as reason not to contest.
Okay. I think she's strictly speaking from her own perspective, but she's forgetting that the country is wide. And I agree with her. From my own experience,
47 is not sufficient?
It's not sufficient, like I said, but it's a step towards the achievement of these women make up what we have right now in the 2/3 gender rule. And still, we've not achieved it, right? I think we also have the nomination seats. Not all of us will get the nomination. Not all of us will go through the nomination. So we have to do everything possible to ensure these women are there, even if it means creating 2 positions for the women rep. And I believe, I think from my experience, I have not been told, why are you coming from any other seat? In fact, I have been asked, why are you going to compete with another woman for a woman's seat and not go for other seats?
Yes.
You see, but because she's going for gubernatorial, you know, they feel like she doesn't deserve to be at the helm. That's why they're using this to push her to the women's seat. Why are you leaving this? And I think that is where sexism comes in. Women are always pushed for one reason or another.
What she is describing is what I would imagine is sexism, telling women fit into this box while we men just
And I'm telling the women, refuse to fit into that box. Refuse for them to define for you
what you should go for,
how far you can go. You know, on Sunday, I attended a church service, and the pastor said, redraw your battle lines. And so I have this. I think this is right. Women should take the battle lines further. You know, and they must not agree to be boxed into the women representative seat. You know, it's limiting us.
I'm biased towards her because of her experience, and she's actually tapping into something that
like Winnie cannot tell me the Luhya community or the Western community is more conservative than the Maasai community or Samburu community.
I also think we need to, like women, we need to jump into the ship and know where it is taking us, because we are allowing men to redefine things for us. You see, one thing you notice with men, and which is very keen, they will always get an excuse to push you. When you go to the women's seat, they will tell you why not go for any other seat. When you go to the seats that they believe are theirs, they will ask you why not go back. When you are skinny, they will talk about it.
But you do have a choice in what you decide to do.
Do not listen to them.
Do
not listen to them.
Ms. Majani, I'd like you to come in on this conversation. Give us your input.
Okay, you know, as I say, I'm a realist. Looking at our parliaments, looking at how our parliament is constituted, and look at the committees, for example. If, apart from Honorable Gladys Wanga, Honorable Sabina Chege, how many women chair committees in parliament? Let's start from there. Number 2, I've said, sometimes in politics, you need to be smart. You don't need to prove a point, especially if you really are focused on reaching in that National Assembly or Senate to agitate the rights of your people. Like when I say, I'm not all areas, of course, are patriarchal. I always give people from central Kenya a heads up when it comes to, I mean, a standing ovation when it comes to embracing women in leadership, because that is where we have the likes of Honorable Waiguru, even in Ukambani, we have Honorable Charity Ngilu. Sometimes we've actually, even where I come from, we've tried to, come out there. We've tried to do everything. But sometimes if you don't have the tactic, if you don't have the strategy, what you will experience in most cases is you facing resentment from the male counterpart. Because looking at you, they think like you're coming to impose some foreign, some alien mannerism that's not at par with what the society dictates. And no, I'm not saying that I'm being boxed into that, corner, that we're going to lead, we're going to give you specific seats. But I'm saying politically, you need scheming. And scheming would mean if you are so sure, like you're looking at the odds, because history is real, and also we have intel on the ground, and we see what's going on. If you look at what's happening around you, and you know, like 90% know, if you go for gubernatorial, you're surely going to flop. Why don't you then grab the woman representative seat or even MP at constituency level, and then while you're there, work, because you really are capable of delivering, you really are capable of performing. Then challenge the electorate, which include the male, the male counterparts, which include the men, and let them see how you're working, and let them view you as a leader as opposed to gender.
Honorable Tobiko hasn't joined to what you're saying. Go ahead.
It's not even to what she's saying, actually.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clips that are running.
Yes.
And look at the way we've been defined.
Yes.
Some dancing squad.
Yes. We are taking as mascots, and to bring the color as opposed to real input. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What I'm saying is, we must refuse the men to define our boundaries.
I wonder if we can find enough clips of men dancing.
That's what I'm saying, yeah? In political rallies, you'll hear the men saying, "Hey, wanawake simupige makofi." Like as if the makofi, like the women are always there to applaud.
Right.
And then in church, the choir, it's the women. Oh, the dancing squad in political meetings, it's the women. Must we be always the dancing squad, or must we also be the ones to dance for?
Yes. That actually is true.
I think to add on to that, we are not limited to a specific corner. Just the way we are moving from the back room, from the kitchen to the boardroom, is the same way we should occupy every